At the end of an exploration phase in the master planning model, we've gone through, we've looked at all of the ideas generated, everything that hopefully we can in the time that we've got to work with. It's now time to start making decisions. And on our cue sheet, we're down at the part where it says during the break, and in the blueprint book, we're on page 81. So what you want to do at this point, and I'm using the sandcastle model as an example to teach this part. What you want to do is you want to go back to the purpose of this session. We've met, there's a reason that we've met. Hopefully we have accomplished or made headway towards the purpose of our session. And at this point you want to ask the client and say, have we delivered the purpose of the session for you? Hopefully you'll get a head nod that says yes. It'll let you know that you're going down the right path. But be ready for, at times the client will say, you know, this one question, if we could just spend a little bit more time coming up with ideas, I think it would be really helpful. So set a timer, let the group know you're going to spend maybe another 7 minutes exploring this, and then go for it. Check again with your client. Hopefully you're ready to go. So you have all of these ideas, all of these different options that you have to explore. Going back to the purpose of the session, for this one right here, you could see that we had to generate 2 to 3 ideas for 3 different categories: water slide design, food service, extra attractions. There's more than 2 to 3, and again, this is a condensed model. When the group was making decisions on this, they were making decisions from probably 4 or 5 dozen different ideas in each of these categories. We use these dots. They're 1/2 inch Avery color coding labels, and you probably 98, 99 times out of 100 you will use them. And you just use them. It's not voting. Take voting out of your lexicon, your terminology, and just call it dotting. You want to decide if dotting is going to be helpful, and again, chances are it's going to be. And you got to figure out how you're going to do it. There are 2 ways to do dotting. One is what we call bubble up, is where you surface the top ideas, your deliverables, your keepers. The other way you can use dotting is possibly to remove an idea from a category. If you're looking for all the key critical parts or steps in the process, you may have 15 or so. But when you go to make decisions on them, you might be able to use a dot to remove one from that category. So you want to determine if dotting is going to be helpful, and then you want to transition into a break. It's important to be able to, when you're going through when you're transitioning out of explore, generate, those kinds of ideas, and down into making decisions, you want to give some kind of a time break. It could be stand up and stretch, quick 90-second. It could be over lunch. You could do explore one week, come back the next week, and make the decisions. There are different ways to just scope that, but over the break is when you want to set up your concept board, the buckets that you're going to be putting your ideas into. So you want to determine how you're going to use the dots, and everybody always asks for a ratio. There isn't a magic scientific formula for dotting. Understand the philosophy of it. You want to be able to give each individual enough dots so that you begin to see clusters of where the participant's energy and focus is. If you give out too many, you get too many clusters. If you give out too few, you don't have enough clusters. So generally, in a highly creative session where I'd say you have maybe 1.5, 2 dozen ideas per category, you can use a ratio of 1 to 7, 1 dot for every 7 to 10 cards. That should work. Sometimes it's helpful to put the number of dots that you want a participant to spend in the category. Say in this one we're looking for, and this is going to screw up the 1 to 7, 1 to 10, but say we wanted them to do the top 3 in here, maybe the top, say 2 here, top 3 here, put them up at the top on the green card so participants know. You want to make it easy for them. This way they know how to spend their dots. And it's 1 dot per card per person. If you're working with an internal group, one department could be red, another one could be blue. Tell them the length of the break and that they are to use their dots over the break. Just like you did the wording on these green cards, you have to figure out the wording on the pink cards, your concept headers. If you think about going to a grocery store, there's a logic to putting food into different bags. And this is kind of the same logic. You don't want to put the milk on top of the bread because it would mess it up. So, and there should be alignment between the purpose of your session and your concept cards. And you could just see here we had to generate 2 to 3 ideas for water slide design, food service, extra attractions. It lines up with top ideas for water slide design, top ideas for food service, top ideas for extras on the beach. On the blueprint on page 82 and 83, we have 10 generic process-driven categories. The top one is the one that we've used here. It's option 1, just top ideas. Top ideas is frequently used. You also see in option 2 you have 3 phases. A lot of the different process ones that you see that we use, we have 3 different categories. And we propose that you keep it to 3, not 4 or 5. If you go to 4 or 5, people tend to fight over, well, they fight over the middle categories. Option 3 is content driven by location. What's at corporate versus what's at the sites. Could be different states. Content driven by departments, marketing, engineering, finance. Everybody's impacted differently. So if it makes sense, use those categories. One that we use a lot is difficulty. You can see 3 different ones. Quick and easy, sometime in development, and heavy hitters. Quick and easy, what's that low-hanging fruit, those no-brainer ideas that just makes sense for us to go forth with. Sometime in development, heavy hitters are basically it's a lot of time, a lot of development. They're very difficult. Option 6, you can see in the book, is cost. People frequently, they categorize under cost. And we have lines under there because you want to be able to give participants a framework for when they make their decisions. A low-cost idea to somebody, say in a nonprofit, could be under $100. If it's in corporate, it might not even hit the radar unless it's 50 grand or 100 grand. But you just want to give people the framework. So low cost would be under something, medium cost is something to something, and the high cost is anything over. Time, option 7 and 8 is something that a lot of people enjoy using. It's a matrix. We actually have a matrix with this sandcastle, with this water park design. And you could see there are, on the top part, probability of completion in 7 months. That's content driven. They had 7 months from when they signed on the line to when they wanted to open up the park. So that being able to get it done within 7 months was important. And down the side they had a process driven one, cost. So if it's a high probability of completion and a low cost, and imagine this as A, B, and C. So that's what the references are. So A1 would be this card right here. We looked at it, top idea. It's a high probability of completion. It's a medium cost. Frequently what you can do in a matrix is draw a line. Anything that falls in the upper left-hand corner ends up being a keeper. You might look at it in the top idea. There's consensus that it's a good idea. We should really pursue it. But when you put it through, say, a second look at a matrix, if there's a low probability of completion in 7 months and it's a high cost, you know, at first glance we thought it was good. Second, we can take it off. I think you can really help groups a lot by committing to fewer things. An artifact that we have that we recommend that you use in the blueprint, you see it's under during the break, point 5, put up a retrieval envelope. So what you can do is you can take an envelope, pin it up to the board, and first let me tell you what this is not. This retrieval envelope is not a garbage can that I just pinned to the board. It's an artifact. It's something that if there's a participant who is pushing you to take down a card, you never want to take down a card, rip it up, and throw it away. because somewhere you can trace that idea back to somebody's ego. This gives you a way of saying, okay, it's not a fit now. How about if we put it in here? We could come back to it 6 weeks, 6 months. It's a way of just every card that makes it into a retrieval envelope becomes a part of every session report that we generate. On page 86 is something that is really helpful. It's called a decision assist grid. It's almost like a matrix, but a matrix to a higher level. You could just see if you have, say you have a lot of top ideas that are already, or strategies that you've already generated and identified beforehand. You want a group to come together and challenge them for a fit. That is focusing in the concept.